welcome to the conversation and a brand new week here on the show. Man, a lot is going on.
The reality is that we have to recognize this is the new norm.
But what is the pillow after you pray for it? What is it expected to do?
You have some good sweet dreams, and that's when you've been waking up. You will dream with him.
I want it.
So
I want it right now. Bring it.
you go hello.
Can I finish my
No,
comment?
there's only one
That's right there, and that's the point.
Peggy, let Obi respond. Peggy, let Obi respond.
I don't think every pastor on every board has sold himself. I believe some of them will stand up and say, I don't agree with this.
Dr. Sands was the second running mate to Miss Turner, who actually booted out Doc.
The church is not saying what they want the church to say. And I'm sorry, y'all. As a matter of fact, I'm not sorry. If we don't say what you don't want us to say because we don't speak for you, we speak out of the unction of the Holy Spirit. We speak out of our convictions, and we are accountable to God, whether you like it or not.
Listen, Christoph, you all need to see what Christoph has on the screen. Danger, drama alert. Christoph, thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an ongoing saga. This is something that government will have to continually be making and adjusting decisions. I heard Obi give us a scenario of what if 30 persons were to be infected in 14 days. What do? You shut it the hell down. That's what you do.
Conversation. You need a little conversation when you need a little inspiration. Tune into the conversation. Talk about it on the conversation. When you need a little motivation, life is better on the conversation. Tune into the conversation. I need a little conversation. You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation.
The Conversation Live with Shenique Miller, powered by Alive. We believe in best.
Here with Shenique on the conversation, yeah. Here with Shenique.
The views and opinions of the guests are their own and not those of the conversation or its host.
Thank you very much, Christoph. Hi, everybody. How is everyone doing today? It's a winning Wednesday here on The Conversation, and it's really, really awesome to have you all streaming already. It's so awesome having you guys here. Of course, you know, a lot is happening in our country, just everywhere and anywhere you can turn. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19 is really the headlines. And I'll tell you, Grand Bahama is preparing right now with just over 24 hours, really, until they go into lockdown for 2 weeks. That's right, 2 weeks. And so it certainly is going to be quite interesting. And so today we are zeroing in on Grand Bahama. That's right, we are looking at Grand Bahama and what's happening there, the preparations. I know from yesterday, I got reports of long lines, and a number of other things are happening on Grand Bahama. And so we're going to have our guests today from Grand Bahama a little bit later in the show. Glenroy Pratt will be joining us, but we're going to begin with our guests from Grand Bahama because we want to hear what's happening. We want to hear really a realistic, a true depiction of what is happening on the ground. And by the way, you see our guest on the screen already. That is C. Alan Johnson and Navarro Saunders. Gentlemen, good afternoon to both of you. How are you both doing?
Good afternoon, Shenique.
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon, Shenique. Good afternoon to the wider Bahamas.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. I know that you both are in Grand Bahama. I'll ask you both how you're all doing in a minute, but I want to kind of sort of start today's show on me, gentlemen. I'm in the conversation. Normally I'm the host of the conversation. I facilitate a panel discussion, but last night, I'll start from yesterday. I posted something, and I'm very, very careful. I saw a lot of people who appear to be operatives, out for mischief, etc. Let me explain something. I have been in this field of broadcasting since 2000. I've been in the field of media from 1998. Let's talk about broadcasting, particularly in a fluid, ever evolving, ever changing situation like COVID 19. It is sort of the ongoing breaking story. That's what COVID 19 is around the world. You all here in the Bahamas, I know you all watch international television. You would see from time to time on network television that we all love to watch and hold into such high regard. There are times they give a report and other times, 30 minutes later, an hour later, they have to come back and perhaps correct something in that story. They have to come back and perhaps add something, take something away, clarify something. It's broadcast news. It's the 24-hour news cycle. It is what live television is. Well, my page is something akin to that. It's continuing to evolve. It's continuing to move. And so, even with that said, I do my homework and I do my research when I am given some information. I was contacted yesterday by a resident of Grand Bahama who has a concern and asked me to speak with me. I agreed to speak with the individual. I shall not reveal because furthermore, I don't want to pinpoint and identify any persons who may have tested positive for COVID-19 or maybe in quarantine or maybe in self-isolation. However, this was a family member concerned. This person had several family members who attended a funeral service on July 11th that was stated in the piece that I posted. This person told me enough credible information about their loved ones, about everything that happened, that I thought to go with it. I also said, how certain are you? How do you know these people? All of it. I was assured of what it was and I went with it. A little later in the evening, as I was live on Clint Watson's show, and that show is Beyond the Headlines, Clint informed me live, Shenique, oh, there's a press release with you. And I'm like, what press release is this? I was attacked by the Public Hospitals Authority and the government for my reporting to try and embarrass, to try and discredit, to try and sort of dismiss me from what it is that I've spent from 1998 to 2020 building and doing. Even after being victimized this last time on the end of January 2020, I never came on this platform. You see, because I'm a professional, I figure the government did what they had to do. I'm going to continue doing what I have to do, and that is being as objective as I can and holding panel discussions. And so what did I do? I did not come on here and attack the government or the company that I was previously employed with. I came on here to the Bahamian people to give you a voice and to also express your thoughts and concerns and also to continue pushing this country forth. You see, for those of you who figure you come in for Shenique and insulting Shenique, I have never been on my back for any politician or on my knees. And we weren't praying, you know exactly what I mean. I have never compromised myself. I paid my dues to be a news editor, to be a supervisor, to be a news anchor, now to be a talk show host. Do not trifle with me and what it is I have built and what I am continuing to build. I try to have on each show presently a balanced discussion. I have PLP, F&M, independent, those who were this or were that and think they something else. All of them I have. You can talk to each one of them. I say one thing to them. Don't come here and try and embellish the facts. Don't come here and lie. Let's have a great, responsible conversation. Whatever you are is what you are, but let's have a responsible conversation. No government, no opposition, no whomever, no man or woman who don't know how I got where I got right now can ever charge upon me, and don't even try it. Those of you who are trolls and little operatives, take that elsewhere. Take it elsewhere. Look in the dictionary for the meaning of those words and then take that elsewhere. Because if your ignorance is bettering your life and bettering this country, then carry on wisely. But if you're sitting down someplace unemployed or living a life with a poor quality, then you doggone defeating yourself. So let's work together. Anybody who comes on my show, whether they be a cabinet minister or whether they be like my guest today, for example, can tell you I never ask them and lead them in any which way. I simply ask them, let's be responsible. And that is what I will, and why I do that? For your benefit. For you, for your benefit. And so stop being used by politics or a little pettiness, or if you think you're jealous or hate me, what the hell are you doing on my page? Why? I'm not that desperate. Move on. So I'm telling you this, what God has blessed, which he has proven since January 31st, 2020 to July 22nd, and he will do it for years to come, no man can curse. You understand? PHA, I never referred a statement to you, never. I was given what I thought was credible information. If you felt something was wrong with it or if it was erroneous, which you never said, but if it was erroneous, contact me. I will gladly update it. I've done it on this show, on this page before. And guess what? After I've gone and updated it and say, oh, the information I passed on was perhaps incorrect, it turns out it was correct after that. But the point is, that's me. I'm responsible enough to do these things. I'm responsible enough, pride out the window, to correct the mistake that you will say, or whomever it will say, that Shenique Miller made. But I don't play those games. You understand? I am a professional since my days at the Tribune, my days at ZNS, my days at the Nassau Guardian, my days back at ZNS, and now my days here on Shenique Miller The Conversation. And I will continue to be that professional. You will not change that. You understand? If you don't like it, leave. It's as simple as that. This is my house. Now, today, with a little over 24 hours to go until Grand Bahama shuts down, we are zeroing in on the island of Grand Bahama. My guess, I know you all did not expect that. You all didn't know that. You all didn't know what I was planning on doing. I had to clear my plate and my slate. I have remained quiet for now, what, 6, 7 months? I've said nothing. But you see, in this country, we like to pick off each other and pick at each other and discredit each other. And I had to do that for me. And so I thank you all for allowing me that opportunity to get my thoughts out there. I really thank you all for that. And so let's see now. Gentlemen, and I'll tell you this is the plain truth. As I said, I've brought myself to the conversation. Has anything that I have posted yesterday, for example, you are both in Grand Bahama, you are both hugely popular. You both have huge social media followings. Not only that, you go out in the community and you carry out your own investigations. You speak to a number of people. You both are highly regarded. Gentlemen, anything that I have reported in the last 24 hours or posted rather on my page, do you know to be fact or fiction?
For me, I would say after seeing the hoopla going on, I took the opportunity to check with individuals, institutions, as well as the other knowledge that I know. And I would say that it is a fact. I didn't see any error in anything that you reported or in the, I don't see any fact in the response from the hospital authority. In fact, I think that they didn't go far enough to verifying did it come from them directly or indirectly.
Are you there, C. Allen?
Yes, I'm sorry, did you hear me?
Okay, no, you sounded, you were breaking up a bit.
Okay, I'm saying I took the opportunity to look at what everybody was discussing when it started going viral. And I looked at what you reported, and I would say it's fact. And I would add to it that the hospital authority may not did a thorough enough investigation to verify that did the message that they disputed come from them directly or indirectly.
And I'll tell you this, C. Allen, I am not here to attack the PHA, but I'm happy you said that because, like you say, they did not go far enough to say if it came from them directly or indirectly, but yet, you know, my name is, it's the first time all my media colleagues call me, Shenique, they don't call, they say media reports, how the hell they singling you out, all like that. But that's good, it's God. Bring the attention right here. Navarro, welcome to the conversation. I know you have appeared on my show a couple of times elsewhere, and it's wonderful to welcome you again on the conversation. Anything that you see that I have posted, reported, had on my show, but let's say in the last 24 hours, you know to be a fiction, and obviously me being mischievous.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I mean, for me to even, I'm a journalist too. I started out with Freeport News. I've been in the business for about 18 years now. For me, I don't even think that's the issue. I think the issue is someone should have picked up the phone and called Shenique Miller, who has been a professional in this Bahamas for years, who has paved the way, I think, for a lot of younger journalists. I mean, you're still young yourself, but I mean, who's done an incredible job over the years as a journalist, who a lot of people respect and look up to. I think a phone call was much better than the press release. That's just my personal opinion. Whether it was factual or not, I think the approach of writing a press release and putting your actual name in the press release, I think that concerns me a bit as a journalist as well. So that really got me, as they actually put Shenique Miller and the Shenique Miller Show. And I think, like I said, everyone in this country knows you. They could have picked up the phone, or they could have messaged you on Facebook or messaged you somewhere and said, Shenique, this is a situation. Can you please correct it? So I'm kind of like, did they do it? Did they do it out of spite? Did they do it to hurt you? Did they do it intentionally? And we just didn't have that kind of thing happen in our country when a journalist like yourself is so easily accessible.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I agree because I tell you, Shenique Miller isn't too full of herself to make a correction. As I said, I've put myself out there on my page and said, update guys, I want to correct something. I was wrongly informed. I've done it before. I've done it before. And so if it's something wrong about the information, tell me that. Let me correct it. I'm not afraid to look bad. This is media and this is broadcast media. It changes like this, And so, but the fact is, I'll tell you, there's a family there. The service I refer to, and I don't want to be disrespectful at all to anybody involved, had over 100 people in attendance, and I am being told, Shenique, exactly what it is that you posted is the truth. And I will move on because, again, I want to be respectful to everyone involved. It is never to be demeaning. It is never to be hurtful to anyone. But I just needed to put that and clarify it before we move on today, gentlemen. And so, gentlemen, let's talk about Grand Bahama today. What is the mood? What is going on? I know we saw videos and pictures from yesterday of long lines and no doubt people even in a state of panic. Because sometimes I'll tell you, when you wonder about having to really, but no, actually, boy, y'all got it a little different. You know why? Because a bunch of stores and stuff are opened and y'all can move about freely, but it's still a lockdown. What is the state of affairs today in terms of people's movements and what they're doing on Grand Bahama today?
All right, Michelle, let me just say, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Let me just say that one of the things that people may not take for granted is the access to information on Grand Bahama. Yes, we are a very close-knit family, but a lot of people are not in a position of access to information as we would like to believe. When you look at the Bahamian economy, and yes, you may have some access to data or some free Wi-Fi or whatever else, the way information is shared or gotten to the people is really in bites and sound bites. And so I could tell you, I've spoke to many individuals, and even for myself at the time, before I went back and watched the Prime Minister video to find out that the gas station was open. At first I thought it wasn't. But even for the stores, a lot of people literally is not aware that the store is open every day, literally from I think what 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So and impulsively they think that they have 2 days to resolve this issue and get 14 days worth of supplies. And so,
But
and
the
I
thing is,
think
you know something, go ahead, go.
I want to say, okay, this is what I'm going to say to that. I mean, and I totally disagree with C. Allen on that. Information is readily available. These people know it. Everybody that I spoke to know that the food stores are going to be open. They know that the gas stations are going to be open. The persons that I've spoken to, they know. And I mean, hundreds of people that I've spoken to. I don't know why there's a mad rush to go to the food store. It's raining in Grand Bahama right now, Shenique, and there's a line outside Sawyer's. I was there. I told the people that the food store is going to be open straight through. Nobody moved. A lot of people that I know and have I've spoken to, they know this information. The information is everywhere. It's readily available. I just think that people just want to do what they want to do. And people use the lines as a time to converse, a time to chat, a time to get together, a time to say, I was there when a lot of people was there. I just don't know if it's fair to say, at least from the people that I know, that they don't know that these things are open.
But you
I
don't
mean, from
think,
my standpoint.
gentlemen, you both
But
don't think it's something of a panic? So, Navarro, you are saying, no, the people know the stores are going to be open. They just want to kind of be there. See, Alan, you are saying many people have no idea that the stores are going to be
no,
open.
let me explain something. See, there's a difference
I
between
can't hear you guys.
availability.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a difference between
Navarro, can you?
availability. Can you hear it?
I can hear you, see, Alan.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah,
Navarro can hear you.
yeah. There's a difference between availability of information and access to information. You know what happens when you say a rumor is a rumor is a rumor and no concrete information, and then I'm here in the line, you're telling me something, and then we have a natural tendency to believe that people can comprehend and actualize information like we do. And it's part of what they call a pedagogy, cultural behavioral norms of having an expectation of the worst rather than the best. And so there's some people that I've spoken to who says, yes, it's open now, but it could be changed. What if he changes his mind? And so
See, but
it isn't just a
okay, okay, I
See, there
understand.
isn't it isn't just a singular act of you know it, it's permanent, it's fixed or whatever. So there's a lot of different nuances that goes into people's behavior. If all of us thought like me, we'd have a wonderful place. You know, it's just about, I'm simply saying is that and there is a cultural nuances of how information is shared and how it's believed and how it's accepted in our society. And so this is why we've had the chaos across the entire Bahamas. A simple thing as sharing information on how to properly wear masks, on behavioral separation. Somehow there's a rejection, there's an acceptance. It's almost as if there's a battle of how we think, and that comes from what they call, from a scientific standpoint, it's called I think it's called uh, porgy or pajori or something of that sort. And it's a behavior that happens that it doesn't change instantly. A lot of us have been able to overcome, search for information. When you consider the Bahamas as a technologically advanced, prepared place, we are the most digitally prepared place in the world. But look at our behavior. Look at how we share information. We have people running around believe that Trump tweeted something yesterday that didn't exist. We have people do whatever. So we are overwhelmed with information, but lack knowledge.
But but see, Alan and Navarro, who do you blame though? Who do
I'm
you
not. I'm
blame?
not able to hear you clearly. I'm not
Okay,
able to hear.
Navarro, you come out and come right back in. Crystal, okay, okay, good. See, Alan, who do you blame for that? You blame us for then not. The information is there. The Ministry of Health has had numerous news conferences. The Prime Minister has had a number of national addresses. I am certain on the ground. Nevada, you good?
I can hear you now. I can hear you
Okay,
now.
good.
Okay.
Okay, good. And so I was asking Navarro, who do we blame for the fact that C. Allen says many Bahamians, they hear the information, but for some reason it is not sinking in. It's not getting into them. So that many of them are still carrying on with life as usual. Who do you blame for that? Is it us that are dropping the ball and not responsible and doing our part? Or should the government, central government, whomever it is, local government have to come there and insist and enforce?
No, it's
I mean,
us.
what more do you want to be done? It's plastered over the radio, it's plastered on the news, it's plastered over social media. I just, like I said, me and C. Allen probably talk to different people and in different circles. I've never heard a Grand Bahamian in my circle or people that I've talked to who have said, I don't know that the food store is going to be open during the lockdown. That's one of the things that people question. Even Clint Watts on this show said, well, the food store is going to be open during the lockdown. And they actually have little sound bites of him saying that. Like, I've not met one person, honestly, who is saying that. So I want to know, who are these people who are saying they don't know the food stores and the gas stations are not going to be open? And I'm everywhere on this island, everywhere, all day, every day. So this is a shock to me that
Navarro,
that's even happening.
No, hold a
I'll
second.
tell
But
you what
let
it
me
is,
just answer
Navarro.
that. Let me just
One
answer that.
second,
No,
C. Allen.
okay.
C. Allen, 1 second. Let me tell you what it is. Colin May Pettikin says, you're dealing with a traumatized people, too much stress. Elizabeth Williams says they know the stores are open every day. People do what they want to do, just like Navarro was saying. And so I don't know. We are a set of people who this is just what we want to do, and because and I firmly believe see, Alan, I know you wanted to jump in. It's a little bit of panic setting in. People don't know what to expect, and so they figure they have to be on lines today. They don't care if the store is going to be open for the next 2 weeks. They have to be on lines today and spend all the money, and by weekend looking around saying, okay, what else to eat? Y'all know that happened. I don't know if it happened in Freeport, but it happened here. We were rushing to the stores, towing long lines for weeks, and all of a sudden, you could do cartwheels in every food store around here in Nassau.
Okay, but Michelle, let me just first say, the answer to that is
Who you
us.
calling Michelle?
Sorry, sorry. I am so sorry, Shenique. Let me say. Oh, sorry. Let me say. Let me. I'm reading a message on my screen at the same time. I'm multitasking. Sorry, and it isn't the other talk show host. It's another Michelle. Okay,
I know
but
Michelle.
let me.
I know Michelle.
No, I wasn't that one. That's what I'm telling you. Listen. So let me say. What I'm saying to you is this.
Oh.
Here's the point. It is us, and I want to say us becomes government because government reflection of us. But just for you, Novato, I listen to over 1 million messages a month. Not my space as a data aggregator is not limited to me or my environment. I do social listening for a living, and I don't assume the 100 people that I see in the front of the food store is the scope of my of my view. That's not what I do for a living. So I have messages come in and messages go out. I do analytics. So what I'm simply saying is this: when you go to our cultural nuances, there's some belief, even within that, is that yes, the government has it open, but what if the virus expand? Will it close? There's some people having that discussions, saying that that if this accelerates, the government may just decide to close the store. And so we cannot lean to our own understanding and believe that people will accept with any type of permanency what government says based on their previous behavior. And so, but when you look at when you say for us, government has yet today as to create an effective communication platform. For instance, from the time Dorian started, I asked government to do a very simple thing. Facebook, who owns major platforms which most Bahamians are on, gives a free access to government to create a single uniform platform for which government could communicate through for free. Literally allowing government, when they do their so-called message, to instantly message every single person that has a phone number on their platform without it being considered spam. It then allows government to deliver the message they need. As of today, 10 months later, I reiterate it again during this COVID thing. Government has yet to take advantage of that type of environment because government depends on the same patchwork environment that somebody tells someone to tell someone. And you know what happens when messages begins to multiply, when people add their own nuances to it.
And I also want to add to that, our people have to get serious too. We blame government for everything, and I don't care who's in power, FNM or PLP. Our people have to take responsibility too. I watched the press conferences that the Prime Minister have, and people are under the press conference who are supposed to be getting information. They're joking around, they're not taking it serious, they're not taking in the information, and then when the press conferences are over, we have thousands of people listening. They come and tell me, Nevada, what did the PM say? But I saw you on the press conference from the time he started his speech to the time he finished. We have too many people who do not take responsibility for information. Shenique, information is too readily available. I understand what C. Allen Johnson is saying, probably because that's the type of work he's in. But what I'm saying to you is that even if the government says, he says a hypothetical says if the government might just close the food stores if there are more cases. Cases have been happening, and the government has allowed the people to shop. I don't think they would be like, okay, 10 cases happen tomorrow, we're just going to shut the food store down. I think they will give the people a warning. I don't think they're just going to shut it down like that. I just think we need to be more responsible people in getting information, retaining information, and see what's happening around us.
I'll tell you what this gentleman.
But just Nevada.
One second, Alan. We need to be more responsible as a people, generally speaking, because that's why we wouldn't be hoodwinked all the time, and we wouldn't be fed information, and we wouldn't turn and be cannibals on each other, and then we wouldn't rush to the grocery stores and in mass numbers, because obviously there's a disconnect. Both of you, trust me, both of you gentlemen are speaking truth from your vantage point, because the lines in Grand Bahama are, y'all aren't the only people. I speak to business people as well in Grand Bahama. The lines are huge and long, mind you. It wasn't synonymous with Grand Bahama. It happened here as well. What we are saying, though, the difference is with what has been described for us in the emergency orders, special orders for Grand Bahama, the stores will remain open. And so people, you don't have to go and stress yourselves. You don't have to put that kind of mental and emotional stress on yourself and your body. And then on top of that, a number of people are not social distancing on those lines because they're nervous. They want to get in. In fact, people are saying, gentlemen, and maybe if you know about this, Tanya Nichols Sayers Stubbs, did anyone find bread in Freeport today? People were looking. These things cause pandemonium. So there it is. The store shelves are empty. The shelves.
Shenique, and I agree with that 100%. You could go there right now with a bullhorn and you could say the store is going to be open all week. The thing is, when you go to the food store and there's a long line, you have to get Sawyers. Some of these people are my clients. I work for them. I do PR for them. You have to give them time to restock the shelves. You have to give them time for their staff to come in and their staff to replenish the stuff. We have to understand that if the stores are not closing, why is there such a mad rush? And then we have a lot of convenience stores all throughout the island. They have bread right now. Come to 8 Mile Rock. There's bread everywhere and it's cheaper. I just think we need access to information. We defeat ourselves. We do ourselves in when we don't have information.
We actually do. We absolutely do.
Let me say, Michelle. Yeah, we are
Shenique,
overwhelmed with information.
One more time.
I'm sorry again. Let me turn off my computer screen so I don't talk back to the person.
Yes, turn that off, please, because I don't know which Michelle is messaging you.
See, Alan, you know better than that.
I mean.
Okay, I like to keep, I do much with it. Okay.
Let me just Robin saying how I fight to build this thing. And you don't understand?
Okay, Shenique, okay. See, stop attaching it to that one. Don't give her your credit. Look, we're overwhelmed. We are overwhelmed with information. What we lack is comprehension. But let me go back to what you said about Nevada, what you said about the government, about the stores being open. On Sunday, the Prime Minister said, I will be observing until Friday and I'll make a decision on Grand Bahama. On Tuesday at 10 o'clock, he came and said, you're under lockdown. Tell me that's not a change. It erodes confidence of an expectation. And here's what the Prime Minister didn't do. He did not take the time to explain why he changed his position. He touched on it, and he required real thought as going forward. You don't assume people know what you're saying. Communication is getting through, not talking to. And so that's what I'm saying is our government is us also, lacks communicative competence. Messages do not get out and do not get across.
And Shenique, I agree, the government's PR.
Nevada, 1 second. So, CA, what you were saying? You were saying that besides the news conferences, besides the Prime Minister's addresses, there also need to be another way of getting the information out?
Yes, absolutely. Why not pick up the phone, call Facebook? Facebook keeps a log. They don't keep data. But every number on their network, they could say, send this to every 242 on the network. That is free to the government, free. On Instagram, they know every account in the Bahamas. They know every Facebook account in the Bahamas that they could literally deposit into their message. That is free to government. And so this is a crisis in situation that government can begin to utilize the tools. The problem is government itself is not utilizing the digital tools. If you tell me Shenique, if you give me the message directly, then Nevada don't have to tell me what you say. I got it. And if he tell me something that's different, it's different. But it also allow a two-way communication, because now I could directly send a message. I could literally, if I was running the media aspect, the minute somebody gets something and they want to know it's true, send it to me. Using both artificial intelligence and whatever response, I would instant response. That's incorrect. That's fake. Here's the correct information. And so when the government creates a portal for correct information, you will now accept that as the valid place to get the information, rather than depending on what group you're in. Because most of us would have an extent of about 8,000 shares. Right now in the Bahamas, there is 292,000 individuals with active accounts. And so the question is, I don't care how ground I think I am, my message do not reach 100,000 of them in any one instance when you look at the actual matrix. And so, but the government has tools that can give them instant access to every single person, and the only thing they can argue is, I didn't read it.
Okay, now and let's go back to something that you said earlier. You know, I could give 10 Bahamians information and access to information, and you said something very critical when you spoke, C. Allen Johnson: comprehension. Our
Right.
people need help comprehending. Who's going to be there when they get the information to comprehend for them? And let's be real now, because I've seen it a million times right here on this little island where all of us get the same information and the comprehension is very different. Now, who's going to help them
Because
with that?
because we speak up here.
Mhm.
Communication is speaking at a language that will be accepted and absorbed by all. This is the problem that ZNS, BIS, and the rest of them lack. We've seen it for over a decade or two, at least for 2 decades I've been home. And so essentially, what we have people is in the communication business without the understanding of the skill set of communicating.
Again, you both make great points from your perspectives. And see, Alan, we have been communicating. It's outdated the way communication is done in this country from a national perspective. You make a good point. Let's shift on. See, Alan, I want to tell you. So I want to ask you something, and if you want to say Shenique, nope, let's move on. By all means, you have a personal experience with COVID-19. Do you care to share that story? You were
Yes, I can. Yes. And let me
okay.
explain something. I've never been officially tested positive, but by diagnose and talking to individuals in the medical environment in early March or whenever this we began the lockdown, it is assumed probably with above 80% accuracy that I did experience not a slightly, we would call it mild. I wasn't asymptomatic. But for instance, I lost my sense of taste. I lost my sense of smell. I had a slight fever. I had a little disorientation issues and whatever else. And even after my supposedly 2 or 3 weeks, up until about maybe a month or longer ago, I still had certain aspects what they call a recovery period, where you still had bouts of like regaining your competence. And so, but when you look at all of the things that they supposed to be of COVID, I even now though, I assume from my position that I did not have it. Just recently, I was at one of those government locations on a day that another COVID exposure occurred, and having in my mind, having experiencing it, I chose again to self isolate until again this following Monday, which will again put me in the clear. And so I don't know because of my previous experience. I wouldn't. No, I'm not hearing you.
How many days have you been in isolation?
Since last Monday, so
Okay,
this 10 days, and
okay,
those around me and those who live with me, including my children, is also acting as if though I am active again, even though
Um,
I'm not showing any of the things that I experienced from the last one.
I
wow.
had not to cut you off. I had a similar experience. I had 2 weeks before the Prime Minister called for Bahamians to come home. I was in I was in Fort Lauderdale, so I had to rush to come home because I didn't want to get stuck over there. And I experienced a bad bronchitis. I was running with my friend Martha. I don't know. She's watching that. She lives. She works at the road traffic department in Freeport, and my chest started to started to like really lock. Like I was very very scared. I honestly thought I was going to die. And my parents, what they did was, we went to the doctor and everything like that. Um, Honestly, the tests weren't available at that time, but I quarantined for 14 days, and took medication, no contact with the family at all. I just stayed in the house for 14 days because, as you know, cases had started in Grand Bahama, and I was really, really afraid that I'd contracted COVID because I just came off the ship, the big ship that, that travels between the Celebration, and I was
Yeah,
really really scared. They had asked me to get tested. I have it. That was weeks back. That was since March. I've been okay since then, but I've never been tested. which I think we need to have more test kits in Grand Bahama so everyone can get tested so that we can stop the spread.
Man, gentlemen, I think there need to be more test kits, period. And I understand there perhaps possibly is a shortage of test kits and that there isn't the amount of testing going on. However, though, there's something going on because can you all speak to the long lines at, I don't know if it's a testing center or medical centers or something. In fact, I just got a call before we came on air from Grand Bahama talking about even at the emergency room
Yes.
or something similar, anyways, about the long lines and about the number of law enforcement who are in quarantine or isolation, just long lines of people either testing or maybe showing up for assistance.
At the Rand Memorial Hospital in Freeport, they made they made the waiting room as a makeshift COVID center. I'm told, reliably told, and the persons are outside waiting to be tested. Then there was an incident.
When you say outside, you mean outside?
They are outside sitting down because they have COVID-like symptoms. Now, I'm told that they put up a rock sheet to separate the patients who have COVID-like symptoms with the normal people who just come to see the doctor. But as far as the COVID-like symptoms, I'm being told that every day there are lots of people showing up with COVID-like symptoms. As far as immigration officers, I am told, and I reported this on my newscast that I do on Facebook, that 2 immigration officers had tested positive. The police are saying 1 officer for sure has tested positive. And I know that the deputy prime minister was in isolation as well, even though they said his test came back negative because someone close to him, reportedly an officer, had tested positive as well.
See,
As far as
Let me
I
say that. Yes. Let me say this. There is not a government building on this island that is not now listed as a place of potential exposure. Not a single government building. Why? Because all of
the government buildings on Grand Bahama have been somewhat compromised because of exposure.
Yes, and so because we only have about 5 major buildings where all of these institutions are 2 government buildings, the National Insurance Building, the Fidelity Building, and so all of these multiple services are all within this building. You have to enter these within common areas, and so every instances of where these have occurred now have people, if they just get a sore throat in a panic, I was there, this person is there, and so we are a small community. So even though you don't publish who the people are that test positive, travels within that small community very fast, and so a sense of panic moves in, even to the point now that the testing people are encouraging people to, if you don't have any of these major symptoms, to just wait and self-quarantine, and they begin to check on them on a daily basis to see do they really need to come in for testing.
You both self-quarantined, and thank you, Lord, that you both are well and still watch it. But how are people to just go self-quarantine? It sounds like Grand Bahama is at the point of being overwhelmed or close to it. You know, if you're nervous, if you feel nervous and you feel a sore throat or something, you want to be able to have access to the doctor. Do you all feel comfortable that there's that quick access to a doctor right now in Grand Bahama?
No,
I will tell
no.
you personally speaking, I don't think so. I think that's why I try to eat raw garlic every day, take my vitamin C, black elderberry. I try to keep my immune system boosted. I exercise, I lift weights, I run, because here's the reality in Grand Bahama. For a long time, we've been tested with medical care, with a hospital. I don't know how much ventilators we have. So it's scary, if you were to contract this virus or even have symptoms, it's scary in Grand Bahama, and because we don't know the capacity of our healthcare system here. No, I don't know the capacity of our healthcare system here, and so I think for a lot of Grand Bahamians, they are afraid to contract this virus or even have symptoms, so they run to the doctor just hoping that there is something that they can do to stop it from developing into a case where their lungs collapse or their lungs fill with fluid, and so it's scary to develop the virus, to even have thoughts about developing the virus here.
I would put to you that our hospital, just from what already happened, is already past capacity. What has happened now is that we have basically been, those with COVID has been having what is called asymptomatic, maybe not showing up, or mild symptoms so that they've been able to isolate at home. we have not had the influx of individuals now that need the medical care. And that becomes scary as the infection begins to seemingly expand exponentially. And as it expands, the probability of people needing care within the medical hospital becomes a major concern. We don't have a hospital here. We have a clinic that's about 50 plus years old from 1950, whatever it is, that we call a hospital. And so let's not pretend that we have any major capacity, especially since Dorian. We have tents and makeshift locations and shared facilities or whatever. We have no real medical response facilities on this island for any major outbreak output. If we hit 10 needing hospitalization, we're going to have to keep something at the airport for immediate continuous airlift. And so it's simple as that, because we don't have nowhere to put them. You can't put them in an environment where you can't isolate them from others within the hospital, because the hospital or the clinic that we call a hospital is basically under repair, and there was no COVID facility built in to accommodate an event such as this.
And
So,
and
go ahead.
and just to add, Shenique, successive governments have let Grand Bahama down when it comes to a real medical facility that we can be proud of. Successive governments, they have let Grand Bahama down. I am told that
Beginning
the
with the
RAND is. Can I finish? I am told that the
yeah,
RAND is going to undergo $21 million worth of renovations. I don't know what that will entail. I've spoken to the member of parliament for East Central Grand Bahama, R.M. Lewis. He assured me that once that's done, that something that we can be proud of. But in the meantime, we've waited a long time, years and years, for a proper hospital on Grand Bahama. And this right here shows that we need one desperately, desperately.
That's true. See, Alan?
but yes, Michelle, I put this strong,
Barrow,
squarely.
slap him for me, please. Slap him. I want you to slap him for me if you could reach him,
Yeah,
please.
I put this squarely, Shenique, I put this squarely at the foot of one organization that we've been giving hundreds of millions of dollars to over the years, the Grand Bahama Port Authority. They're responsible for the development, and the responsibility for a hospital comes under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. That has not been fulfilled, and we have allowed governments to walk around what is happening. An institution that has their feet on our necks for over a decade or longer now, and the government is the second feet on our necks, because no one wants to accept responsibility to do what is needed. And that is to have an honest, open discussion concerning the government of the Bahamas, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and the Hawksbill Creek Agreement for what it's intended to be. Imagine that you're trying to develop a facility, a jurisdiction, and you want people to come in, and there's no means of providing medical care. There's no means of a proper fire station, none of those things. And so we're pretending, and we're buying buckets. I don't care if you spend $50 million on that clinic. It would amount to nothing but buying expensive buckets as opposed to fixing the roof. The roof is, we need a new medical facility, even beyond the one that was proposed by the last administration. It's like we saying, let's keep pretending. We never have an open, honest conversation with Grand Bahama. But let me add this, Shenique. In 2007, the incoming prime minister at that time said there can be no economic recovery of the Bahamas without Grand Bahama. In 2012, the incoming prime minister at that time said there can be no economic recovery of the Bahamas without Grand Bahama. In 2017, the incoming prime minister said there can be no economic recovery of the Bahamas without Grand Bahama. So in essence, if you have no intention, no plan, no ideas, no strategy for fixing Grand Bahama, that means you have none for the Bahamas.
And I wouldn't pretend to understand the whole Grand Bahama Port Authority Hawksbill Creek Agreement. I really don't. I truly, truly don't. All we understand though, and I know you all in particular because you're all in Grand Bahama and from Freeport, is that it ain't working. How has something that's not working been allowed to exist in its present form for so long?
But see, Alan said something so important. They haven't come to the table. Nobody has come to the table. And unless they come to the table and start to chart a course forward for Grand Bahama, nothing will happen. I look at the airport the other day. That's another big disappointment. As you pass it, nothing is being done. It's like the International Bazaar sat there since 2004. Nothing is being done. And I know C. Allen and I agree a lot of stuff with C. Allen. Say C. Allen is a good person, I think, and I think he and I share some of the same concerns and passion for Grand Bahama. He knows sometimes I go on my rants and ask, "What's happening? What's happening?" And you can't get an answer from hardly anyone. I don't know what's the top secret of what they're gonna do for Grand Mama, why it's such top secret, but it's frustrating living here sometimes, Shenique. It's frustrating living here sometimes. Our downtown looks like, it's horrible.
Garbage.
Garbage. Our International Bazaar, horrible. And I've told them this over and over again. We are languishing. It's hard. Let's see, Alan tell you, it's bad in Grand Bahama. It's just getting worse by the day. And I don't think the Port Authority nor the government is doing enough to make sure that Grand Bahama gets out of the deep hole it's in.
See, Shenique.
I've been in a deep hole for years now, and even
2
more
decades.
so. See, Alan, jump right in because I wanna go back to the International Bazaar because I need to ask you gentlemen something about homelessness in Grand Bahama. But see, Alan, jump right in and then we'll go there.
Here's what happens. Grand Bahama, we talk about the digital preparedness of the world. Here's what the world just did. The world just went a decade ahead digitally. The Bahamas was a decade behind. So in essence now, we're 20 years behind. But here's the point. The Bahamas, by international standard, is and has been the most digitally prepared country in the world. Now pay attention to this very carefully. If you treat Freeport, which is the size, Freeport is just 20 square miles smaller than Singapore. I didn't say Grand Bahama. I said Freeport is 20 square miles smaller than Singapore. We have a better harbor, better access to the airport, and a geopolitical location. But get this, if Grand Bahama was to be treated as a country, it'll be the second digitally prepared country in the world. What has the world went to? The world has went to the green economy, the orange economy, the blue economy, the knowledge economy, the conceptual economy, the digital economy. Guess what? The digital infrastructure for the world is looking to build exists right here in Freeport. Now here's the point. Let's go to Hutchinson Whampoa. Who is the number one of the largest healthcare providers in the world? Hutchinson Whampoa. Who's one of the largest harbors in the world? Hutchinson Whampoa. Who's one of the largest telecommunications in the world? Hutchinson Whampoa. Who's one of the largest hospitality companies in the world? Hutchinson Whampoa. Huh?
The same Hutchinson Whampoa in Grand Bahama?
The same one that is 50% owner of the land for development. See, we have to have they are they in the top tier of companies in the world. Everything they do, Grand Bahama is poised for. And so the question just have to be, why does it happen? I say to you, Hutchinson Whampoa understands our geopolitical location and they profit from it. But the Grand Bahama Port Authority has been both financially and intellectually bankrupt, with the exception of land. And we had this discussion during the debate when we were talking about the McKinsey report and others, the very reports that they're hiding. Why do you think the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government have not made public the McKinsey report, have not made public the Grand Bahama Digital report, have not made report of some other reports that's available? But yet they promote this as an area. They must be telling it to the foreigners because they sure are not telling it to Bahamians. And so when you talk about the decay of this island in the last 20 years I've been home, I've seen this slowly go down. And this lockdown of COVID is our flat line. I don't care what anyone says. It's our flat line.
Oh my God! Because you said, see, Alan, you were saying that this COVID lockdown in the next 2 weeks is the end of the Grand Bahama economy.
It is, because what happens is you had a very small group of people that came back, and like restaurants and other things. And believe it or not, when you're bleeding and barely surviving, and you just begin to rebuild and to be hit, and we have no guarantee on our behavior, and this is why when people get concerned about the store and our behavior over the next 2 weeks, because technically we only lock down from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. Our behavior during the day and maybe not following the rules and social, using the food stores for, supposedly I go for 1 can of tomato paste because I want to socially interact, or excuse I use, will create the continuation of the spread that has a very high potential and a very high probability based on statistics to extending this beyond the 14 days. What happens? These businesses cannot afford to carry the load for another 30 days. I
I agree, Shenique, but at the same time, people need to be responsible. You know what we're up against. You know the economy is already in trouble. You don't need to socialize. You need to be responsible and go home. You need to go to the store only when you need to go to the store. You know, I understand this thing about blaming the government. The government has successive governments have a lot to do with Freeport's failures. But it also takes us as a people to be responsible, to do the right things, to do our part, so that when C. Allen talk about this flat line, that it doesn't actually happen. Now, you know, when you go to the food store for that tomato paste, go to the food store, get in your car, and go home. There's no time to go to the backyard party. There's no time to go to the pool party. We need this lockdown to end in 14 days, like he said, for our survival. So that's where we come in as a people to be responsible. We cannot blame the government for our irresponsibility. We are responsible for our Shenique.
Yes, yes, I absolutely agree. Navarro, okay, good. I see you still moving, so you're still live. Listen, when we come back, we're going to talk about exactly the state of the Grand Bahama economy and why so many people fled Freeport in the last 2.5 days. Why? Why did they run? I just want to know that. We are going to take a break. This is the conversation. Navarro, you smiling? I don't know what was happening there. Why so many people run? But we are going to take a quick break, recognize our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Freeport. We're going to, and when we say, I'll tell you, when Nasubians and other people say Freeport, we know it's a difference for y'all. For us, it's Freeport. So we're talking about Grand Bahama, you know? But you know, see, that's the same thing. But we're going to talk about Grand Bahama. Why so many people ran from Grand Bahama to here to Nassau, Abaco? I understand Bimini, Turks and Caicos. Why y'all can't sit down where y'all is? Like what going on?
I will come back so I can answer that.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break and come back with more of the conversation right after this.
The Conversation Live with Shenique Miller, powered by Alive. We believe in best.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation. It's great to have you all streaming live today. Social media, how are you all doing? I know we have a lot of people from Grand Bahama who are streaming. It's good to have you all streaming live. Nassau, how is everybody doing here? And it's really overcast. I understand it's rainy in Freeport as well. And you know, we're talking about COVID-19, guys. In just over 24 hours, Freeport is going into a 14-day lockdown. And we are taking today a real look, an honest to goodness look at Freeport, meaning Grand Bahama. I know how you all go in Freeport. So Shenique, hold on, Freeport is one thing, Grand Bahama's the next. But we're taking a real candid look at Grand Bahama today about what is the situation on the ground. We're going to get to a number of other areas. We're going to talk about why many people ran, right upwards of, well, I don't know if they were able to get out this morning, but upwards of, I think yesterday afternoon, people were trying to get off the island. You know, some people may want to share something. Yeah, we're gonna get to it. But I just want to say hi to everybody. I know Glenroy was supposed to join us, but I see Glenroy on the live feed. I tell you, Glenroy agrees with you, Navarro. If everyone do their part, we hardly ever take personal responsibility. No, we don't. No, no, we don't. No. Mahogany, Martha, Mackey, we have to be more responsible. By the way, social media audience, please do me a favor, share the video. Thank you to my darling. I see Kizzy there saying this, share the video. Please share the video, guys. Help us out here today. More people need to hear this conversation as well. Share the video. Help me out. Help the conversation out. Share the video. And I certainly am very I'm appreciative of that. Dora Hepburn says it's no time to mingle. Just you say go to the store, get your tin of tomato paste and go home. You know. Um, Neil Claire says this lockdown has a big impact on businesses. We're going to talk about that, y'all. You heard C. Allen say, and actually Navarro agreed with him, but he is more optimistic and saying, listen, y'all, man, flipping stop being hard-headed. Stay home because the Bahamas cannot afford, but Grand Bahama even more specifically cannot afford what C. Allen said. It's already an economy that's been ailing for years, even more so now after COVID. Pardon me, Dorian, even more so now in COVID. You understand? And so certainly let us all be as responsible as we need to be. Ezra Pratt says this government is the worst of the worst. Oh dear. Glenroy, okay, I read your comment. Jamal Garland. Persons at time are going to the food stores and at time is to clear their minds. So that's what Jamal, guys, you heard that? Jamal said, people sometimes just use the food store just to sort of as a break to get out, you know? I could tell Jamal some other things they could do, you know, because I'll tell you this is serious, guys. And you heard both gentlemen say, you don't want this 14 days to be extended. Listen, read, don't just go on Facebook to see, to mind you, sometimes it's good to have a laugh. Facebook has its place, or whichever social media, it does. They have their places, right? What I'm saying is find other ways, Jamal and everybody else. And this is what I have had to do, because hello, the country's been in lockdown. But you have to find other ways to engage yourself and while protecting yourself. Gentlemen, y'all want to jump in? I love to get my audience involved and read their comments.
Okay.
So I want to get to a few more comments, but jump in.
Let me just first say, Shenique, let me just say, when y'all stop calling us Freeport, they stop calling y'all Nassau.
Yes.
No, I don't like that. That's real toxic.
But Shenique, but let me tell you this. Do you know that one of the biggest detriment is not the lockdown, is again, lack of information, lack of education. Do you know it has been proven, or statistics said, that if every Bahamian was to properly wear a mask that is proper, and that means completely sealed in, and wash their hands, we can eliminate COVID in the Bahamas in 4 to 8 weeks. I'm not talking about wearing under your chin, under your nose, and whatever. And so there's no major PSAs going out. And so again, even if we would actually do that simple thing, we don't have to be under lockdown here on Grand Bahama. If we could get 90% of the people to properly wear their masks, social distance, and wash their hands. Simple as that.
And you know the funniest thing about that, C. Allen Johnson, is that we have a lot of rude, rebellious people. You know, you go around Freeport, and you can tell people, you know, your mask is not on properly. You should wash your hands. There are just some people who are stubborn. I don't know if this generation that we're in right now, Shenique, you know, they don't like to take responsibility. They don't like no one to tell them anything. They don't want to be ruled. We have to start looking at this too, you know. I think the older people are following the instructions. They're doing what they're supposed to do. You go by the car wash, nobody's wearing a mask. You go under the tree where the boys hang out, nobody's wearing a mask. You go to the Domino's table, nobody's wearing a mask. They know they're supposed to be wearing masks. PSA or not, they know better. They just refuse to wear a mask, Shanique. I would go there, I would tell them, look here, you in a basketball court, why y'all playing basketball? No mask. They just don't wear masks. It's crazy. Even with the cases that we've had recently, they refuse to wear masks. They see it on CNN. They hear it on the radio. They hear Shenique Miller say it. They hear C. Allen Johnson say it. They will not follow instructions.
So, gentlemen, upward to today, because I know everybody in Freeport wearing a mask today. Upwards of today. No?
Where Shenique? Go to the car wash right now. Go to the car washes and tell them Novato sent you. Nobody's wearing a mask. Go sit under the tree with all the boys. Nobody's wearing a mask. Nobody's wearing a
Shenique,
mask.
Shenique, I would put to you that we have maybe 40% compliance, either not wearing a mask or improper use of a mask under their chin, on their whatever. So improper use is the same as not wearing it. And so
But
I would
gentlemen,
say
are
only
they
for,
not taking seriously what's happening in Grand Bahama? You think they think it's fake?
A lot of people have that notion that it's fake. A lot of people just don't seem to think that they're invincible, especially young people. They think they're invincible, and I think a lot of them just don't care. I was in West End. I rode through West End on Sunday. I'm like, I'm in my car with a mask on, and these people are out in the road and out to the bars, and they talking up in one another's face, no mask, no social distancing. But then you want the virus to stop in Grand Bahama from spreading. They're not doing the things that need to happen.
Wow, gentlemen, why did so many people run from Grand Bahama from Sunday? Really? Why?
Let's see Alan go first.
well, what happens? what happens is I can't explain that. Hey, I can't explain that phenomena where you say you can't spend 2 weeks on Grand Bahama locked in your own house from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. I don't know what type of home they have that that requires them that because or even what you say except going to the food store that you can't be around whoever you are, and some of them went as families. And I think again it's just one of those things where you simply say I would spend $200 to be in another location than to follow the rules that has been set aside. And so it's a kind of a sense of defiance. I will go, even if I'm a carrier, away from here and come back in 2 weeks.
And
But
then
that is where again that becomes the cultural nuances of where we always have a sense of testing the limits, doing the pushback.
and I
Hmm.
think and I think some people have reached their breaking point. Seriously, enough is enough. Some people will never come back to Grand Bahama now that they've left. If they and I'm serious about that. This was a time to escape.
Yeah, yeah.
Hurricane after hurricane, the economy is in trouble every year in, year out. People are tired. And then there was a gentleman who went on a flight yesterday, and he wrote me something, and he said he just needed to get away. He needed to get away. It's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of fear. It's just a lot on Grand Bahamians. If you live here and you could survive, you could live anywhere. I think
Anywhere.
Oh,
anywhere.
but
Afghanistan.
someone on the live feed, I forgot her name now. She did say people are like it's stressful. They're at a breaking point. And Grand Bahamas truly had a lot on it. Gentlemen, we laugh here and there, but it's really a serious state of affairs of what's happening in Grand Bahama. It's no joke. It's no laughing matter. Let us talk about though. I was very surprised. At first, I thought it was a political gimmick in one of the election campaigns. But I was very surprised to
207 it
learn,
started.
yes, exactly. I was very surprised to learn that today, right now, July 22nd, 2020, I think it's after 5 in the afternoon, that there are homeless people in Grand Bahama. How are they faring in terms of masks, in terms of social distancing? That please explain and explain that for me what I just said about homeless people in Grand Bahama.
No, I want you to say homeless families. That's more than people. It is homeless families. A couple of weeks ago, Greg Moss and I was doing an inventory of buildings and people, and we went around. And I know of at least a dozen buildings that individual or families, multiple families, are living in. No light, no water. There's one that I know of where 4 families are living, and I won't disclose where it is because again they take reactive response. But they get their flushing water and whatever water from the swimming pool that fills up in the rain or whatever else there is. This is not something that just happened because of COVID. It may have been augmented because of Dorian. But from 2007, go back to the political campaign. You will see the FNM in 2007, the in 2012, the PLP used the homeless argument, and again in 2017, it came back on the stage. These are just tools of expression. The number of families in distress, of people living in homes, and I'm saying we have homes on this island that has been under distress with roof I use the expression, last night, a family looked up at the stars and admired it. Nothing would have been wrong with that if they wasn't in their house. Because that is where you have from going back from the double hurricane of 204, homes on Grand Bahama have never been fixed. And subsequent hurricanes, I didn't hear you, huh?
Can you hear me? Navarro, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
See,
Yeah.
Alan, can you hear me? Okay. These are people you are saying
Yes.
that have lost homes from whether it's Dorian, a storm before, but never been able to have repairs done or get a new home.
Yes.
You know,
And it keep building and piling up.
I think C. Allen Johnson is right. We've had a situation in Grand Bahama with homeless people for a long time. Unfortunately, during the campaign trail, they use it as a political tool. And instead of getting to the bottom of the problem, that's the only time it's really used during the political season. Because even if you're in opposition or while you're in government, you do what you can to help the people. And that goes for both parties. That isn't a jab at any party.
I agree.
Because you don't have to be in government to help people, and you don't
No.
have to. You can be in opposition, and you still can help people. And I'm not
Yes.
saying that. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying that because the FNM is in power. When the FNM is opposition too, they shouldn't use it as a tool. They should go and
Yes.
help the people too. And don't
Yes.
wait until political season. Do it because you love people. Do it because you care for this country and you want to be the party and the government that leads this country. That's the problem we have. People only do things for political convenience. You know what I'm saying? But see, Alan Johnson,
Shenique,
as far as the people that I hope that you and I privately, because I have some resources that I can use to help people. I hope that if you can probably disclose it to me after the show, we'll try and get them some help.
no, I don't. For those that need help, understand is this is not helping people. Is not something that I just started. If I tell you to the extent of which I assist, and the MPs on this island are well aware of it, I would probably exceed myself personally and my twin brother would probably exceed most of the NGOs on this island. But we don't do it for notoriety. We do it because it's us. That's who we are. But the point I make is this. Let me ask you the question I'd ask. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure what you refuse to acknowledge. And so even Grand Bahamians themselves, due to what is called identity politics, that's where you must identify with one group or the other, keep ignoring what is happening for the sake of their party. Now we'll make noise in opposition of what needs to be done. Now that my party is there, we won't make any noise because it'll expose that they are not doing anything. Now, and what it has done is it's come to our detriment. No one in the 2 decades have come to Grand Bahama and says, look, here is our problem. Every single one of them, and here's a strategy for resolving it. What we have is we line up between 5-year celebrities and we praise and admire them. And even the very celebrities, after they come out of office, will begin to sit with you at Burger King or Wendy's or whatever and talk about the same problems that they got opportunity to fix. And so we have to say what it is. Put it on the table and be honest, open, and let's measure it. Let's come up with an action plan and let's hold those we sent to Nassau accountable. And I think it's time for Grand Bahamians to become selfish, even to the point, if necessary, teaming up with the other big G called Great Abaco and begin our succession movement.
Shenique, I want to say something to that as well, though. I just don't want it to be, governments are made up of people. And I'd just like to shed a shout out to Michael Pintard in Marco City, Iram Lewis in Central Grand Bahama, and Bakisha Parker in West Grand Bahama, Bibney. I think a lot of times people don't see what's happening on social media or they don't take photo opportunities, but I can attest to it personally because I work with them and I know them. They are on the ground constantly trying to do the best they can to help people, especially Michael Pintard. I mean, out of his pocket, materials, food, whatever they can do, they're trying to help the people. So I don't just want people to think that they're not here, not helping people. Of course, much more can be done, but I think those three, I cannot speak for Peter Turnquest and I cannot speak for what's his name? The next MP.
Michael Pye.
Michael Pye. I cannot speak for him, but I can speak for Bakisha Parker, I can speak for Iram, and I can speak for Michael Pinter. They're doing a lot for the people that does not I mean, down to paying college tuition, for food, building materials. I mean, down a lot of things we just don't see on social media. I just want to put that there.
But can I speak?
Nora, one
Can
second.
I
One
speak for the
second,
five?
see, Alan. One
For the
second. Let me
five?
just get to more
Okay,
comments and
okay.
then I'm coming back to you. Social media audience, thank you so much. I'm happy that you all are streaming. Please share the video, share the video, share the video. Perez Hilton says, a hospital in a tent. Address that. Boy, Perez, I'll tell you, Navarro and C. Allen really touched on, they painted a real picture for us about the state of the Rand Memorial Hospital, if you can call it that. Couple tents and couple sheet to divide people who are waiting on COVID test results, and the other set who waiting for something else. A little thin sheet dividing it, etc. And both gentlemen say that they believe it's just not working. It's not working. Let's get to some comments before C. Allen jumps back in. Glenroy Pratt says that is why we should be upset about people who jump on planes and not listening. No, we need to be upset at these Freeport people, I tell you that. Uh, Ciara Nixon says, no, they are still being unruly. Some persons were still trying to enter Solomon's yesterday without a man. Hold on now. We don't do that here in Nassau. I
Rude.
wonder if she's talking for Nassau. Is it Solomon's and Freeport too, right? Y'all know the show, but Freeport today, don't embarrass me. No, but everybody I see at the stores, when I go to the stores or anywhere, they are wearing masks. You trying to say Freeport people trying to go in stores and be around, but Nevada, you explain to us where people are not wearing masks. But come on, come on, man, y'all. Nikki and Norika Wilson, not out in public because they can't get into an establishment without it properly being properly on. That's what I'm saying. There is the law. You cannot enter an establishment without a mask. Miko Knoll says they don't say you died from the virus. They say that you died from fluid in the lungs or heart damage from the treatment. It is not listed as COVID. No, but listen, Miko, Miko, don't be mischievous today because they do not. This country, well, the medical professionals have, as you heard, perhaps in the last week and a half, have decided how they're going to break down this situation. And nobody is ever excited, least of all me, about discussing morbidity in terms of people who have been victims of COVID-19. But yeah, we don't understand how that changed all of a sudden and what that's about. But yeah. Sophia Hart says, I love being home. Yeah, Sophia, me too. I tell you the truth, I love being home. I just need to, when the money need to accompany me being home. But I love being home. I don't have an issue with staying put for a minute. Clarice Moss, good afternoon to you. Thank you for watching. Somebody asks, Narika says, Nevada, why are you in your car with the mask on?
Tell her police have a lot of roadblocks in Freeport, and tell her what happens sometimes is that if you don't have the mask, sometimes you have to go in the car and search for it. So I just have it on sometimes because we have more roadblocks in Freeport, I think, than in the world. So you just got to be prepared because we have roadblocks every day, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a day. So that's why I always have the mask
On the same road.
on the same road. We have plenty roadblocks. We have roadblocks capital in the Bahamas.
No, that's what it is. Obviously, it sounds like. Natasha Israel says, Shenique, please ask C. Allen if the port is still leasing Freeport, how much are they paying the government and what do they do with the money?
The lease is for 99 years. They have bought some additional property, but beginning on August 15, 1990, the government was supposed to begin to get real property tax. Let me tell people, the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement has never been extended. The Hawkesbury Creek Agreement is not just an agreement, it's an actual law. To extend the agreement, that means you must strike down the law. What we've been doing is passing laws to delay the tenets of the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement. We have never extended it. So we keep delaying the fact that they should begin paying taxes, which amounts to hundreds of millions of dollars a year we just allow to pass out of our hands, and for the detriment of the country. But here's what happens. If we actually begin to enforce this law and they have to start paying those real property taxes on this hundreds of thousands of acres of undeveloped land, they will move to develop the land to raise revenue for it. But here's the problem. The Hawkesbury Creek Agreement has some tenets. Listen to this very carefully. It says no law in Freeport should apply to Bahamians unless it applied to Bahamians everywhere in the Bahamas. Now, here's the point. So for you to have a land registry in Freeport, you must have a land registry in the Bahamas. Now you will have everybody know who have crown land. So it isn't that they don't want to fix Freeport, but to fix Freeport, you must have a land registry now requiring it to be exposed where the 3 million acres of crown land went. And so there's a bunch of nuances within the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement that must be applied to correct. The Hawkesbury Creek Agreement called for municipal government, not this local government thing where, like my daughter, she could stay with us later she wants, just be home by 8, drink whatever she wants, just as long as it's water, wear whatever she wants, as long as I buy it. That's the illusion of choice. But here's what happens. Municipal government would allow 50% or more to stay in Grand Bahama and for you to do your own taxation above that. It actually opens up real local government. So this is the minute you fix Freeport, you fix the Bahamas. They're absolutely correct when they said there can be no recovery of the Bahamas without Grand Bahama, because the very laws we've been demanding, it already exists in principle or in law on Freeport that must be applied everywhere. And so the question then becomes, and so what you have is control access to information. So let me just say this, right? I agree with Novato. I give Michael Pintard as the best Jesus imitator there is. He is on the island. Because if you want fish and bread, he gives it. I mean, the same people I'm helping, they go to him, and he has never turned anyone down. Never. But that's not our problem. We don't need fish. We need people to be built to become fishermen. There you go. And so the question has become, where is the economic strategy? Where's the strategy for economic building and building people so people can begin to build their own personal economies? The
I don't think
information is there.
Cialan and Navarro, I don't think successive governments want that in the past. I don't think they don't want us to really become independent, you know.
And that's why, Shenique,
And think for yourself and become empowered.
and that is why, Shenique, you know, we have to really hold them accountable and make that happen. You know, I would tell people in Freeport right now, things are tough, but one of the best decisions I ever did was take advantage of the free business license that they have out right now. Empower yourself sometimes. Empower yourself. Go and fill it out and start a little business. If you have to start it with $3 or $4, buy something and sell it. Watch the money flip. I started a shoe store with 2 tennis. Now I have, must see, about 300 tennis in that store. That shop is doing well for me even in this bad economy. They love to dress up, and I love to buy white Air Forces. I love to buy clothes, and that's because I went out on a limb with 2 tennis, and I started a tennis shop. Shenique, we have to be able to take advantage of opportunities, and while they might try to keep us down, F&M, PLP, or whoever's in power, we go through the back door and we empower ourselves.
Man, listen, God, when you got God on your side, they can only try. That's the operative word right there. Okay. Try. You know?
But Shenique, here's the problem that we have. Even the so-called personal economy that relies on the internal economy is dead. It's dead. Even, I would say, from a professional standpoint and a business transformation advisor, even Nevada's business is now threatened by the new shift in direct sourcing. And so here's the thing. The Prime Minister, in his speech during COVID, made the statement that we were going to the green, the orange, the blue, the knowledge, the conceptual, and the digital economies. Those are all imports and exports. But we have not prepared our people except for the consumption of technology, not for its utilization. And then secondly, we created this sandbox for which even if a person does know how, they may know how, but they can't climb out of the sandbox to achieve it because we have a system to protect a small class of individuals. But let me tell you for Grand Bahama, as we move beyond this COVID, let me tell you what can happen. Grand Bahamians, and I'm speaking for those, and we're going to make sure this happens. We're going to build our own table. And we're not going to look to anybody else's table. If you want to eat in the Bahamas, come to our table. Because we are no longer, and I'm going to make this my passion, that we are no longer going to sit and wait for New Providence or for anyone else to determine our destiny. We're going to have that conversation. And if individuals join in, we can have it. Because all the information, and again, how do you start a business without information that they're given to foreigners? They give them access to the McKinsey report. They give them access to the digital report. They give them access to all of these studies. But no Bahamians can say right now, and I challenge anyone to bring, I'll give you a list of 6 reports that exist in the last 8 years alone that is absolutely necessary for starting your business. And I guarantee you, 99.99% of Bahamians don't have access to the information. So how do you build without the proper information? What you're saying is guessing. Let's use an example. The Prime Minister says, give me ideas. Hold on a second. You have no understanding of the economy. You have no understanding of the parallels. You have no understanding of the sectors, the real information and the real data. So how does Stevie Wonder ask Ray Charles what he see and then appoint a group of blind Blakes to assess it? Provide us with information so that we can digest it, and those of us that comprehend can properly have the conversation. So I'm going to begin a daily demand to provide the data that is necessary for informed input to be made on how we effect change on Grand Bahama, which by extension will change the Bahamas.
What is the situation with food availability on Grand Bahama? There was a report several weeks ago that about 7,000 people on Grand Bahama have insufficient food to eat. At a time like this, where
15,000 now.
I'm sorry?
It's 15,000 now.
I can't say whether that's true or not because I don't have the data to prove that. But he says 15,000.
The office, the food network said they issued 14,000 coupons. Now, ask yourself, how did they instantly issue 14,000 coupons in 2 days? That means those 14,000 coupons that they issued were already part of an ongoing program. And so I would put to you that 50% of this island families, which happens to be about 30,000 or plus 25,000 homes, is facing challenges.
Now, see, Alan, they might have been a part of a program, but a lot of people had to apply previously. They had to apply for this or not. I'm just saying, all fairness, they had to. No, I know there are some people I know personally who applied for the first time. This is the first time they're getting any kind of coupon from the government because of COVID. So you saying they were existing on a program. There are some first timers I know about who came to me and say, how do I apply? And I called the Office of the Prime Minister and I asked the Kwesi Secretary, who's Raquel Benabihad, to help me, to walk me through it so I can walk them through it. So I don't know if they were really from the existing or if COVID brought it on.
No, but I'm saying to you, if they didn't apply the Friday before, because anybody who applied after the Prime Minister made his speech, they were not part of that program yet. I'm simply saying I don't get emotional about what I believe and what somebody else is trying to do.
No. I understand it, but I just want to set the record straight, Shenique. Of all this, and I must say, and we got to get you because all these people don't have food. The Lions of Kentucky, or the 24/7 of Kentucky. Let me talk. Let me talk. I let you talk. Let me talk. The number houses are full all day long. The liquor stores are full all day long.
That's what I was wondering about, because, and see, Alan, you will jump in afterward, but I was saying 7,000 insufficient food to eat, but the Burger Kings are still open. The KFC,
and every day from they open till they close, the liquor stores, the number places, all the restaurants. If you call a person who sells...
Navarro, Bahamians have misplaced priorities. They'll drink.
I'm getting to that. I'm going to tell you about some personal story, Shenique. Shenique, I'm on the ground like him all day. A lady sent me some funds from Canada to help some people. I was out today distributing some groceries. Shenique, all of this is not government's bad doing. Shenique, we have people with bad habits, Shenique. We have and if you talk to these people, man, I can try to do better. We have people who go to the liquor store before they buy food. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. We have people who will go to the number houses, and we have people who will buy a bag. And people are very prideful. They will dress up in the best clothes with designer shoes, $3,000 before they go to the food store because it's the government's responsibility to feed me. I can look good, I can drink, I can smoke, I can do numbers, but it's the government's responsibility to make sure I have food. That happens a lot right here in the Silver Freeport. A lot.
One second. I had to question that 7,000 number, and now see, Alan says it's perhaps doubled. I had to question that because the habits of Bahamians are extreme.
Shenique, do you know, Shenique, I'm gonna let C. Alan speak. I'm gonna let you talk right now. Shenique, look at the cars that just arrived on this island. They didn't come here for free. Shenique, we have the most, hundreds and thousands of cars. And Shenique, All of them did not come from insurance. Most people here don't even have insurance. Shenique, these people are spending and living their lives, and I watch them say, oh, the government can feed me. I watch people say that. They do not prioritize. That's it. Just like they told the power company the other day, I'm going to have on my air conditioner all day and all night, but the pure power shouldn't cut me off, or I shouldn't be penalized for it. We have to take personal responsibility sometime for our lives, though. Not everything is the government. And people tend to put everything on the government because, oh, the government is supposed to, so the government is supposed to. Take personal responsibility. You are responsible for you.
See, Alan?
Okay, Shenique, yes, as a data analyst, I don't do convoluted, conflated, or data supported. Let's talk about the population of Grand Bahama. 50,000. Let's even put it at adults at 25,000. There is no 25,000. You could talk to the owners of these stores. I know some of them personally. They're struggling to survive. There's no 25,000 people collectively a lineup to all of the stores you listen to. It ain't happening. So when we take a narrative and say Bahamians, I'm a data person. I like to quantify and qualify numbers. So you don't tell me Bahamians, because I'm a Bahamian, and I know thousands of people who don't fit your description of Bahamian. See, I understand how we use this vernacular. But I'm saying to you, we don't need to guess at this. We could get anonymous information from the Kentuckys, from the Burger Kings, from the number of people, from everything. And I guarantee you,
See,
that
Alan,
you
do
cannot
you have that
apply the
available?
definition that we use.
Do you have it available? Do you have the data available for that?
Government does.
Okay, but I'm
My
asking you, do
data,
you have the, no, but I'm asking you, do you
yes,
have the data available?
No, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have what is called
Please print it for us so we can find, because it's sort of help us better. Please publish it
No,
for us on your Facebook
no,
page.
see, you don't publish data. See, again, we talk about comprehension. See, this is where we think all of a sudden I can publish some data and you all become instantly geniuses. Please don't do that. Here's the point. See, what we have to do is begin to look at every aspect of what we is. When we start painting everything with a bludge, that everybody goes to Miami. I guarantee you 50% of the people on this island don't have passport. So who's everybody?
Shenique, what I'm saying, we're missing the whole point. I'm saying there are a lot of people who do not prioritize in Freeport. I can't give you a number, but Shenique, if you were to take a survey, see, I'm afraid that we're becoming too dependent on government. The message we're sending is the government is soon enough to come to our house and wash our cars, bathe us, and wash our clothes. We becoming too dependent on them. Some things are not government's responsibility. Some people
I think
will.
we have been too dependent on them, not becoming.
It's crazy,
No,
man. Shenique, it's crazy, man.
Yes,
It's crazy.
Alan.
I'm saying we can quantify. See, this is. We seem to be data averse. We seem to be knowledge averse. We want to go on what I believe, what I feel, what I hope for, what I pray for, what I wish for.
But you're doing that. You don't have no data. Okay, present the facts then. Present the facts.
Then I'm saying to you, if you want to buy my data, I'll send you a price list, and you ask the question.
No problem, because
I'm saying to you, you ask the question. I'm in a business. I can't come to you and say, let me try on your shoes for a couple of years. So if you want to have that discussion, I'm saying to you, I challenge the government, those that have the data, to call me out. I don't want somebody who don't. The government has the data. Those same 5 individuals, the same office of the prime minister, the same as Benedict Hart, and if they don't have it, it shows their inadequacy to be governing us. Because that means they are governing us without the data that's necessary.
But I would say this, Shenique. I would add it to it, Shenique. We have to begin to take more personal responsibility on this island. Government has its responsibility, but Shenique, I'm afraid that our people are becoming too dependent. Shenique, you should hear the things that come out of people's mouth. I literally hear people come and tell me, well, the government could do it for me. The government, I mean, we blur the lines. Where do we cut the lines? Where do we cut it off? Like, when does it stop? You know what I'm saying? It's very scary to me. Probably because I was raised in a house where I was told that I'm responsible for me. I must get an education. I must go to school. I must do better for me. That's how my father raised me. I don't know about this government, depending on government. Shenique, I try not to lean on them for absolutely nothing, because that's how I was raised. You understand what I'm saying? I just think everybody thinks it's the government's responsibility to raise them.
No, it's not to raise them. It's the government's responsibility to create an environment. If you hire a gardener, how could you scream, I shouldn't depend on the gardener to cut my lawn? What did I hire
Shenique, business license is free. Education is free. Business license is free. Education is free. Grants and loans available. Come on, man. We got to take advantage of the things that's happening, the good things that are happening. and not hamper on the negative.
No, it's not the.
Something.
Come on, man.
Let me say this point. Let me say this point, Shenique. Here's the point we have. When we hire people to create an environment for success, there is not a single document or a portal or anywhere I can go to that gives me the comprehensive steps of saying what it is. Because we have our leaders come to us with soundbite. And I want not for supporters. I want leaders to begin to call me out because every single one of them knew me before they became MPs, and they will
And
know me after. Hold a second, Novato, and they will know me after they left. I am
yeah,
known as data. I don't go on what I feel. When I
okay.
speak, can I?
Yeah, I need to speak too, though. I want to get a point across. But you speak, and then I'll get my point across. Because I want to give a very important message to the young people on this island about taking responsibility for themselves. But you go ahead. I'll say it after
All
you.
right.
I'll say it
Go
after
ahead,
you.
Right.
sir.
When you start talking with the young people, right?
No, notion. No, make your
What you,
point now. Make mine.
No,
Make
Mike,
your point now.
that's my
Make
point. I
mine.
can make the point. I can include
Okay.
that because I may
All
not
right.
be kind
Go
to
ahead.
come back. So
Go ahead.
I'm saying don't tell me to think, man. Hold on a second now. Here's my point, man. I have no political feeling. I actually, people would say, I have a despise for the level of governance scheme for both the PLP and the FNM, period. Because they either have proven to be incompetent, inept, incapable, and corrupt, or they've been doing a good job at pretending that they are. So I'm simply saying, if you want this economy to grow, to make sure that people have proper information and proper prior preparation will prevent their piss poor performances. You don't tell people that here's a soundbite, not here's the distance where you go for information, here's the booklet, here's the blueprint, the thing. None exists. And I challenge you, Novato, to a private, separate conversation where I ask you the questions and I let you come back and
Okay.
bring the information that is needed to go
Nope.
into business, to go and start whatever else and do it.
No problem. All right, but I would say this to the young people in Grand Bahama. Go to school, take your education very seriously. Once you have that, I see young men in my community dropping out of school at grade 9, smoking dope, but then I talk to them as we campaign or we go different places. Oh, the government should do this for me. You drop out of school from using grade 9. Who's responsible for you dropping out of school from using grade 9 and grade 8? Who's responsible for that? Who told you to drop out of school? Why is it suddenly the
Government did.
government's responsibility? Hold on. Why is it suddenly the government's responsibility because you decided to drop out of school? Because you decided to smoke dope all day? Because you decided to be a bum on the road? Because you decided to sit under the tree? Why is that government's responsibility? Shenique,
Because
government is not perfect. Let me
government,
talk, Cialan. I let you talk. I let you talk straight through. Government
you did? That's
Government,
amazing. Go
government,
ahead.
government. In my community, Shenique, from East End to West End, you travel, you see people with no ambition. Government is not perfect. Yes, government can do better. But Shenique, without the data, without the data that C. Allen is talking about, you have opportunities right here in Grand Bahama right now that you as young people need to take advantage of right now. I've done it. I'm no better than no one, Shenique. I don't have a college education, Shenique. Never went to college. I have multiple jobs on this island. I applied myself. I went behind David Wallace. I learned how to be an MC. I learned marketing. I don't have a degree. I don't have nothing, but I work hard. And I encourage you, young people, stop looking to government. You have it within you to create a path for yourself, to do
You
better for
speaking,
yourself.
you speaking to young people, you need to speak to Bahamians in general. And see, Alan, I'm going to let you jump in a minute, but because both of you gentlemen are making great points. See, Alan, your data-based information is very important. Navarro, you preaching to people about changing this right here is extremely important because trust me, that is where it starts. Bahamians are stuck here. I noticed, guys, over the last few days, today is Wednesday, so for the last 3 days, I have had people in Freeport attacking me, basically saying, you look like you glorifying in the fact that Freeport has COVID. I didn't know COVID was just synonymous with Freeport. COVID is over the whole Bahamas. So it's something here missing. It is something here, ain't clicking to here. You know, like in between here, it look like some BDs or something. Because how do you think that someone in Nassau rejoices over what's happening in Freeport? What happened? What's going on to the rational thinking of Bahamians? Comprehension, being able to process information, being able to take responsibility and do. And see, because we doggone look around to say, what you gonna give me? How you gonna give it to me? I have 3 votes in here for you. That's why we get screwed every day. And that's why we get screwed every 5 years. Stop. Stop it and empower ourselves, because it is a disservice we're doing to us and each other, not the people we empower in terms of voting for them. We're doing the disservice to us. See, Alan, go ahead.
Let me just first say, government is responsible for every child in the Bahamas from the age of birth until they're 18, and for education until they're 16. That is mandated by law. There is no student can drop out of school without the law taking effect. And so if you find somebody under 16 who will drop out of school and has went wayward, that's a failure of governance.
How's that a
Now,
failure of governance, Alan?
because the law requires that we be accountable for every child from birth to 16 for education. There should be no one who drop out of school that government should not be able to account for. But again, we simply say, no, but I'm saying that's the law. I'm saying is let's enforce the law. If we just ignore what
No,
responsibility
no, I
calls
agree.
for, it just
It is
compounds
their
itself.
responsibility.
Uh,
But
uh,
boy, see, Alan, this ain't a day of truancy and thing where the police can say, what you do on the road, go to school. It's a different age, but go ahead, sir.
But it is. No, but I'm saying to you, because we keep thinking with old mindsets for 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 new evolution of the same old problems. See, we can't fix the old using the mindset. We could technology allow for us to account for every child in our education system and every child born in the Bahamas that's under the age of 16. In fact, for every person in this country. But that's another conversation. But I'm simply
Yeah.
saying is this: we can't build into the future using the tools to the past.
No.
I would say this
And
too.
so what I'm simply saying is this:
Let him
for
finish,
those of you,
Navarro, let him finish.
no, Navar, let me finish, please. Okay, please, you asked for it. I'm saying to this: for those of you who say you can lift yourself by your own bootstrap, I challenge you to stand in the bucket and lift the bucket. I challenge you. See what I'm saying to you?
No,
There are
I'll tell you this.
systems of development, and
Navarro,
we
what I understand with him, and I
no.
agree. So many people in this country, perhaps many in Freeport, but certainly in this country, fight to try and get a business done. Yes, the business license is free. But if you talk generally to people, the ease of doing business is wild. It's as you both pointed out, there are only a select few in this country
But
who would look like the law and the policies are made for. And it ain't just started. It started from doggone
Shanique,
independent.
but
there you go.
From independent.
I want our people to, Shanique, barring all the things you got to go through, because even harder for us in Freeport, because we got to deal with people in Nassau to get business license. Shanique, what I'm saying to our young people is, you got to press, you got to push. You
We
got to keep,
do.
Shanique, every morning I read articles on CNN. I read all the magazines. I read things. I try to enlighten myself, because whomever is in power, you know why I come on your show today? People know me as a supporter of the FNM, but you know why I can hold them accountable? Because they can't do nothing to me whilst they in power. You know why? I control my destiny. My money don't come from the FNM. My money don't come from the FNM. My money come from my clients that I market. My money come from my tennis store. My money come from the weddings I host. My money come from the other things that I do, right? That's why they could never hold nothing over me. I'm trying to tell young people, empower yourself, get to the point where FNM, PLP, or whoever's in power, you will
Don't
succeed.
matter.
You will
It doesn't
survive.
matter. Yeah.
Nobody could do nothing
But
about standards. That's why I can have a
Shanique,
voice no matter who is in power, because
I
nobody affects my checks. Nobody. Nobody affects my checks.
I
And I
absolutely
have
love
them coming
that.
in every day. Every day, and nobody affects that.
Mar, I love
Because
that.
I'm empowered, I'm educated. I do self-development. That's all I'm trying to tell them.
And that's an
Shanique, let me
important message, because I'll tell you, we could get bogged down and what's not there and what's not and what's missing, and doggone continue to sit right there and complain. I love that message. See, Alan, hold on, let me get to some comments. And guys, I want you to think of this. I tell you, the two of y'all, y'all, this has been a great, I didn't think the two of you can give me all of this on the realities, not just of Grand Bahama, but of the country, but certainly of Grand Bahama, as Grand Bahama prepares for 14 days of lockdown. By the way, guys, that happens really as of 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, 14 days of lockdown on the island of Grand Bahama to help stem the surge of COVID-19 that the island is presently experiencing. We don't know what the new numbers will reveal this evening. It came out, it was released quite late yesterday, and yesterday the official count was 20 new cases. We don't know what today's number will reveal and what time that'll come out, but certainly Grand Bahama is experiencing a surge. Now, of course, in the last few days, there have been cases in Cat Island. I think those residents may be here or may have traveled here. There's also a case, a Mexican worker who came from Mexico to work on the Baker's Bay project in Abaco tested positive and was flown over. I am understand that was either last night or this morning. I am understanding that a Bahamian contractor also may have tested positive as well for COVID-19 at that same project. That is Baker's Bay and Abaco. Also in Nassau, you have seen a number of increasing cases as well, but Grand Bahama has just been a hotspot for a few weeks now, just showing increasing numbers, and so that is what's been going on. I'm going to get to some of your comments on social media. My special guests today are C. Alan Johnson, who is a community leader, an activist, a huge social media presence in Grand Bahama. Navarro Saunders, who as well, very, very prominent in the community of Grand Bahama, an activist, a youth leader, a businessman, also prominent on social media as well and in the media. Both gentlemen, strong voices, strong opinions, and leaders in their own right in the community and communities of Grand Bahama. They are well versed in what's going on the island. And so we thought today on the conversation to have both of them here to give a very honest, open, candid view of the situation in Grand Bahama. When I go back after I read some of your comments, I want them to talk about the derelict condition that exists on the island that was the most clean in the Bahamas, the envy of the Bahamas. What happened to Freeport, y'all? How Freeport get so dirty? I don't get it. Like, we can talk about that in a second. Let me get to some comments. Monique DeVoe says, will this piece of, oh dear. Monique says, how member of parliament in Nassau Village doesn't do anything in the for the area. I'm living in that right now in the back of Superwash. It's not like I'm looking for handouts, but at least once in a while, put a dumpster out by the wash house for the people that don't have trucks to move debris. Tennille Claire says, what are police officers there to enforce the law, give them tickets? I guess she's talking about maybe the various stops in Grand Bahama, traffic stops. Chantal Pinder Lundy says, I don't have favors, or I don't want favors or handouts from any my member of parliament. I want to see policies and programs to improve the lives of Bahamians, all Bahamians, opportunities and ownership. Yes, that's what we need, y'all. And it's when we apply ourselves and become educated and become involved is when they cannot continue to feed us the same foolishness. You know, you don't go talking about, you have any fish today? No, teach me how to fish. How about that? And then move. Let me fish from here on in, kind of thing. Okay? Sydney Stubbs says, did it ever occur to you people that some of the people that went to Nassau have legitimate reasons to be there? COVID-19 is everywhere, and despite the economic issues, lockdowns, and post-hurricane issues on Grand Bahama is still more attractive to live. That's my opinion anyway. I agree with you. Perhaps the quality of life is better in Grand Bahama, Sydney. There's no argument there. Creighton, Khalid, Moxie, Grand Bahama has the most roadblocks per capita globally. Do what you want to be doing. Why? You know what? No, I don't blame them police. Y'all have a tendency to try own the road when you're on it, if you understand. Too much speed. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what it is. Narika Wilson says, she must be the only one who complies and wearing a mask wherever she goes, she says. Fern Miller, thank you very much, Fern. Thank you for watching. Stacy Smith says, Freeport is a police state, martial law. Bahamians are sleeping. They think it's a game. So the police are that prominent on Freeport?
It feels that way.
I mean, at every turn, the police are my friends, but at every turn there's a roadblock.
I believe there has to be more police on this island than they're saying.
I believe so as well. Crystal Cooper says there is no excuse for Grand Bahama. There is no excuse for Grand Bahama still not having a proper hospital. What we have been subjected to is inhumane. Yeah, it's really awful. That hospital has been in a state of disrepair, a state of wanting for many years. It is really just awful, quite frankly. It really, really is. Gentlemen, you have addressed sufficiently the hospital. If you have anything else to add, certainly do that. But let's just talk about what happened to Grand Bahama. I know, of course, Dorian was something unprecedented, but Grand Bahama has really just been has turned into a dump, really.
Yeah, let me say that Grand Bahama, when you look at the potential of Grand Bahama can right size the Bahamian economy within 2 years. When you, especially now, I've been an advocate preaching for things that people are now become pseudo experts on, from the various different economy models before they even had names. 2 decades, and I've always been an outsider. I am the PLP when they're in consider me their enemy. When they're out, they consider me a friend. The same thing with the FNM. Why? And they have to answer that. They have to answer that question as to why. And so, because I don't take sides and I don't evolve. Let's use an example. I understand that the PLPs and the FNM for 20 years, 2 decades, have been giving paintbrushes to blind people and celebrating the one who happened to be able to paint something of value and ignoring the thousands of others who have not been able to do anything. And like one of your people said, policies, procedures, processes, and laws that creates the environment for growth. And so these are the things that I don't like to talk to supporters about. I would like for my 5 MPs and my 2 or 3 senators to have a conversation with me so they could dismiss me of these thoughts. Because again, they should know what their position is and what they have to do. Because oftentimes people will tell me what they believe and they'll tell me from their own personal perspective. I never speak for me because I can overcome these things, because if I can't argue for something, I shouldn't be arguing against it. And so I'm simply arguing not for me. I'm saying that the majority of Bahamians should be able to enjoy the benefits of this country we call the Bahamas. And my advocacy has maintained that. When you talk about Freeport or Grand Bahama as a whole, and I would challenge any leadership. In fact, I'm waiting on the Economic Recovery Committee to submit their report because I want to challenge them and I want to see if they will be intellectually outnumbered by one, me. And so I want to see if they truly understand where we are today, and more so the opportunities that COVID gives us to redefine and reimagine the Bahamas and Grand Bahama as a whole. Grand Bahama is the only place in the Bahamas right now that you could buy properties with infrastructure for under 25,000, literally for the price of which you would buy a house in New Providence. You can actually build a house here with all the infrastructure in place and move into these new global models. And so Grand Bahama become poised to replace Singapore, to replace Hong Kong, to replace Norway, to replace Estonia, all of these people that we admire. And notice this, we talk about these countries, and we love pointing to those countries. But guess what? Not a single policy, not a single program, and not a single law exists in their countries to allow them to do what we like to point at what is possible of doing. So I argue for laws. I argue for policies. I argue for processes.
Just to add to that, you said something very important just now is that you want every Bahamian to survive. Every Bahamian has to want to survive too.
Thrive.
To thrive. Every Bahamian has to want to thrive too. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of courage. You just can't You just can't thrive based on because you need to thrive. You have to work at thriving. I want young people to know, especially, and I keep on going back to young people because there seems to be a huge disconnect. Like they don't want to work hard. They don't want to go to school. They don't want to do the things that are necessary in order to get them to the level where they can become not dependent on the government. You understand what I'm saying? So I just want to encourage the young people to do the work that is necessary, because Tyler Perry said something very, 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 very important the other day. They didn't give him a table. You know what he did? He built his table, but they didn't give him a table. No government is going to keep their feet on your neck if you don't allow them to keep their feet on your neck. Get up. Tell them enough is enough. You can empower you. But as far as Freeport and the way it looks, it's horrible, Shenique. This is a trash town. From the bazaar to downtown, the roads, the verges, everything is horrible. I don't know what's going on with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. I just don't know.
Hold.
Grand Bahama has become a trash island. There's potholes and neglect throughout this island. But for Navarre, I would say to you, if you don't believe that an authority, that you have the ability to have the authority to take your foot off your neck, you should go watch the video with George. That's what
That,
authority is. Hold on a second. Hold on my point. That's what authority is. I want to drop you in a country that only speaks Spanish, and I want you to do your motivational speak. When you talk about young people, we do not speak the language that the young people speak. Not in our leadership and not in our community advisors. You are known by your results. I don't care how eloquent you are. I don't care what it is. You are known by your result. And I can show you in all of these so-called pontification where the defects are. And I would challenge anybody to say what I say the defects are ain't real.
Shanique, and I would say that
Okay? Because I've
I would.
argued
One
against
second,
them.
Navarro. You're gonna have the final comment because it's already 3:58. T. Allen, you can wrap up. Go ahead, T.
I'm
Allen.
simply saying that, yes, we must begin to recognize the reality of
Sorry.
circumstances which we seek, would we expect to change. We can't change what we refuse to acknowledge. And so all we could say is we don't need to point to singular success. When in a country, you speak to the majority success of its citizens. And then you say what is necessary. Proper prior planning and preparation will prevent the piss poor performance of its people. And so what we have to
I
simply
love that
say is,
alliteration. I love that
what,
alliteration.
and what,
I think I'll
so,
tell you this, gentlemen. It was, Navarro, you're gonna have a final
yeah,
wrap-up comment right now, but you both are saying the same thing. You're just saying it differently. You both are saying the same thing. Navarro, of course, your thing is you're hopping more. And listen, we must get up. In present day society, get up. See, Alan is saying you get up armed with the knowledge, statistics, and data to be able to go and really make a country that can work for Bahamians. Nevada, you're going to have the last comment in just a second. Let me just get to some more comments. Lenora Dame says, facts, see, Alan, facts. Kizzy Aisha Newton says, I've been saying that. You must build your own personal economy. You must become empowered. Um, Perez says, empower with what he's asking. See it, but you know, you have to see it. You have to see it, Perez. Kizzy says, there's no other way. Willstone Curtis, well done, Navarro. Well done. Mahogany Martha Mackey says, no one can keep you down. Nobody can keep you down. Khalid Moxie says, the system should be conducive to us empowering ourselves. And this is what C. Allen is saying. As a business person in Grand Bahama, you have to be extraordinary. We have to increase the ease of doing business. Yes, because the ease of doing business is still, this administration has done some stuff, but my God, you still got to jump through hoops, go swim across the ocean, see what Chinese doing over there in China, come back to the Bahamas to be able to get something going truly. And mind you, it's easy enough because as Navarro started up as a small business startup, and you get going through in that vein. But I've heard so many people complaining about so many hoops, and so it's true on many levels, many things you just have to do. Let me get a couple more comments before Navarro gives his final comment. Louise Reckley says we need to empower ourselves. We need to stop depending on government and find out what we can do. Jamal Garland, with the money from the Port Authority, it will limit the dependency on social services, which has a strain at this time. You bet right it does. You bet right it does. Portia Newton, and by the way, I didn't recognize everybody. We got people watching from everywhere. Grand Bahama, we have people in Florida, we have people all through Nassau, we have people other places that I have not recognized today. Portia Newton says they need to give Bahamian people a chance to own their own property. Stop giving the country to Chinese and their cousins. Let's just see if I can get to one more comment because I'm sure it's perhaps 6 o'clock now. Perez says, I did not like how the Freeport people were treated in Nassau at the Nassau airport last night like dogs, but you are laying out the red carpet for Mexicans. Marshall Adderley in Bermuda, access to multiple incentives and low interest rates, business loan are all given to foreigners. You bet right. That's see, and that's a part of what the issue is. While you can start and you can do what you need to do, that is also a reality here in this country. Navarro, before I allow you with the last comment, sir, Everybody, please, who haven't done so already, share the video. Share the video. We have had an enlightening conversation on the state of Grand Bahama. Is Grand Bahama ready for lockdown starting tomorrow at 7 p.m.? They'd better be, because lockdown takes effect 14 days on the island of Grand Bahama to stem the surge of COVID-19 there. And of course, our thoughts and prayers with the people of Grand Bahama, but with all of us here in this country and around the world, because we want to be rid of this virus. We really want that. And so we pray for a miracle, Navarro, you have the final comment.
I just wanted to tell people in Grand Bahama, we talk about the government creating an environment. Business license is free. Education is free. There are grants and loans available to you. It might not be the kind of things that people want the government to do for them to create that kind of environment, but an environment has indeed been created. Take advantage of the opportunities. Find your gifts, find your talents. Let me tell you something, there are a lot of consumers on this island. There are a lot of people on this island who like to buy stuff because, as you see, every shop is still busy, every restaurant is still busy. Look in yourself, see what it is you love to do, create a business. I'm telling you, it's going to be one of the most great feeling you've had in all your life. Don't worry about what is not in place. Worry about what is in place. Don't worry about what is not here. Worry about what is here. Don't worry about what the environment that government has not created. You create your own environment. You build your own table. You are made to succeed. You are made to thrive. Without government or with government. And watch how you will fly when you do the things that you need to do in terms of becoming independent. Nobody can hold you down. You can say anything what you want to say, no matter who is in power. Nobody could pull your strings. Nobody can call you on the phone and say you can't say that, because nobody pays you. You pay yourself at the end of the day. So empower yourself. Empower yourself. Take advantage of the opportunities that this government has presented, or any government has presented, and watch your life change. I guarantee your life will change, no matter the economy. That's it.
Mindset shift. Mindset. Gentlemen, I'm going to check in with both of you again, perhaps if not next week, then the following week. That will mark the 2 weeks. I really enjoyed having you both, and so did a lot of people. In fact, let's just get a couple of comments. Nicole Saunders says, empower yourselves, motivate yourselves, and believe in yourselves. Catherine Hyler Wells, hello neighbor, awesome show. I really enjoyed hearing a lot of things that are happening in Grand Bahama. Excellent show. I also saw saying excellent show my wonderful friend and cousin, Clarice Sandy. She also thought the show was good and the information was fantastic. And so, listen, I thank you all. Excellent advice, Navarro. That is Jules Smith Monroe. Good evening, God bless. Listen, I thank my guest, my special guest, and I hope they're available in a couple of weeks from now so that they can come back on the show and we can chat again. C. Allen Johnson and Navarro Saunders. Gentlemen, you too be safe. I know that both of you are in quarantine, or self-isolation rather. And so you continue to be safe. God bless you. God bless the people of Grand Bahama, and God bless the people of the Bahamas. And certainly, of course, as you all head into your lockdown.
Shenique, I just want to say one thing. Sorry, I'm not self-isolating. That was from March, because know how these people go.
That's the same.
Sorry.
The same for me. That was 4 months ago.
Know how these people go.
I don't want them to send me. Yes. Because I don't want them to send me out and then start saying, "What are you doing here?"
That's from March.
Lord, the people can say, hold on, come from me, what you all doing? Ain't you all in isolation? No, let me explain that again, y'all. No. These both gentlemen felt they had symptoms of COVID-19 in March. And so what they did, they took it upon themselves in March to self-isolate for 14 days. And I think it was C. Allen that even went again for another round just to ensure.
About 6 weeks.
And so,
right.
Sorry?
6 weeks.
Right, and he just to ensure that he was fine. Okay, so that's what that is, y'all. That's not happening right now. They both are fine, and we thank God for that. Be happy, y'all are great. Listen, again, I look forward to speaking with both of you in another week or two. And I hope you both are available. I'll touch bases, of course. And I thank you both for joining the conversation today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bahamas. Tune in every day at 4 o'clock.
Absolutely. And also social media audience, you guys have been fantastic today. Yeah, I know y'all got a mouthful and a lot to think about because these guys were very open and very frank. And I thank you all as well for streaming live with us today. Share the video if you haven't done so. God bless everybody. Christoph Roll, thank you. Kizzy, thank you very much. Danielle, thank you guys very, very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay.
Live event streaming provided by Church Boy Production Studio.